Hey y'all, welcome back. My name is Sarah and I make videos about movies, vintage shopping, and running an online store. Welcome! So today is an extra special video because this is one of my favorite movies of last year, The Menu. This movie renewed my joy in film again. It's so good, but so messed up at the same time. Okay. So the movie starts with a very posh group of people, very wealthy group of people who are on their way to an island to have a very exclusive eating experience. There's a bunch of different kinds of groups of people. The tech bros, I think, is how they were described. A very famous actor and his assistant. A very wealthy older couple. We don't know what they do. We know they have money. A younger couple that seems a little mismatched. And a food critic and her assistant. Or two food critics. It was hard to tell. Either way, great casting. This is a weird, very eclectic group of people. We have some new faces. We've got some classic actors in here, including the chef. They travel out to the island. Whatever you imagine this experience, it goes above and beyond your expectations. For whatever you thought this was about to be, it's well above that. It's over the top. And I think that was a great introduction, because it is very clear that the average person, you have no idea what's about to happen here. You thought that they were just going to eat. They're taking on a tour around the entire property, shown where the chef's assistants and everybody else sleeps, shown where the livestock sleeps, shown where they grow the food, and then they're taken in and they're seated, and then the chef comes in and he introduces himself and the purpose of the restaurant and his goal for that restaurant. Again, above and beyond what you think this experience is going to be like. As time goes on, the perspective moves between the tables, between the couples and the groups. You hear bits and pieces of their conversations, so you get to know them a little bit as the movie goes on, which I appreciate for character development. So you get a sense of the type of people that they are as we move around. Each dish is brought out and we move around the room to see people's reactions very naturally and organically. It's not like in their faces while they're eating, while each person takes that first bite. We're not doing that. We're just very naturally moving around the room. And then you become aware of this weird, foreboding tension between some of the characters. Later on, the chef and the patrons. Okay, so even though this movie came out last year, I don't want to give it away in case you guys haven't seen it, but I have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. First of all, I love the cinematography. Seeing the way they cook the food, the way the food is plated, having that macro view of it. I love that. I love seeing the finished dishes with the descriptions of the dish, with the full ingredient list, all in this very lovely, elegant script text. I thought it was just gorgeous. The choreography is so great and weird, but great. Every time he claps his hands, there's like a weird noise. It's not just like a person clapping their hands. There is a weird extra added noise that is like almost grinds your nerves a little bit. And then we get to the mess. When they introduce the mess is where we get an idea of what's finna go down tonight. So instantly, boom, the mood changes. And because of their position in society, I'm gonna guess, for a lot of them, it like did not register at first. The mess happened, but then it was like nobody panicked. The wait staff came out, served the dish. The rest of the mess was cleaned up and put away. They seemed to know in advance that it was going to happen. It was not a surprise to any of them. So everybody else just sort of started to accept it. And others were like, no, we're not playing this game, and immediately tried to leave and were not allowed to. So then we start to understand how involved, well-planned, elaborate, and theatrical this entire thing is. So we're seeing these beautiful dishes, well thought out dishes with stories and intention, and then acts of violence like sprinkled in. Unintentional. It's not the goal. This lack of pleasure at someone else's expense, which I think is what makes this part of what makes this movie so different, because they have a goal, and this is one of the highest rated, most exclusive eating experience, because I'm not even gonna say dining experience, like that sounds ridiculous, in the world. There was so much shock. There was like shock at some of the things that happened during this movie. And like, what? What just happened? All the characters and their reactions felt very authentic, felt very real. I know that as other people were watching this movie, they were probably like, well, they wouldn't have got me, you know? And they probably wouldn't. As the chef mentions, he has placed the price point of his food at such a level that only a very small percentage of the population on the planet Earth could afford it. There's philosophy mixed in there. There's satire mixed in there. The themes about like class and wealth and privilege. And I don't know if this was intentional, but y'all remember the whole eat the rich phrase coming up over and over again. I wonder if this was a theme that they wanted to sort of incorporate into the film. It's funny in a very dark way. There is violence. I wouldn't say it's gratuitous violence. The conclusion was what had to be. They had planned the entire night down to the very last moment. Nobody is really who they seem to be. There's lots of little surprises and twists. 4 out of 5, absolutely, highly recommend. If you're a foodie, you'll probably love it. I think it's a great film, and I particularly like how we get this character development from bits and pieces of conversations. You don't need to follow a character along and hear every word that they say or mentally narrate. You don't need to do that in order to get a rounded out full character. You don't. A movie like this, where we hear just literally bits and pieces of their conversations over this extremely stress-filled event, provided plenty of information for us. It is an experience that you will not forget, genuinely. Thank you all for spending your time here with me today. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you all next time.